12 miles before Vickerstown, there is a siding that goes into a covered bridge. There's a small yard here, and beyond that is a large, evil-looking forest. This forest is known for being very mysterious and very foggy at night. And in this little forest is the town of Foggy Hollow. Foggy Hollow is a rather not-so-famous town on Sodor, but it's known for its old lifestyle and its peaceful atmosphere. But there is a dark side to Foggy Hollow. And that is where our main character comes in. His name was Rickabor. He was a LMS 1F tank engine. The year was 1919. Rickabor had come to the island of Sodor to find work. Before he could go to the Northwestern Railway, he found himself having to work at Foggy Hollow. Now, Rickabor wasn't a rather shy chap. He was very talkative, and he enjoyed talking with people. He was very kind, friendly, and heartwarming. He would talk to anyone he met, and he was well experienced. He was loved by all in his old railway, and he was happy to find life on Sodor. It's just that, when he first came to Sodor, he never went to the Northwestern Railway. Instead, since there was so much work to do at Foggy Hollow, he ended up finding work there. Rickabor was painted in a rather dark green livery, and was known for a bright headlamp on top of his funnel. His crew was well popular too among the community. They planned to move their families over to Sodor eventually, but only if Rickabor was satisfied with his work. And so, in June of 1919, Rickabor, the LMS 1F, came to Sodor, and he came to Foggy Hollow. Now, at this point in the timeline of Sodor, Foggy Hollow was no more than a typical rural town. It was surrounded by the forest, and it had many lines traversing through it. Some say you could easily get lost if you didn't know your way. That is why there is one section of track called the Main Highway, which goes straight from the covered bridge over to Foggy Hollow itself. There were two engines who worked at Foggy Hollow at the time. Tesselia, who was a Victorian-style tender engine, and Brog, a rather big tank engine. Tesselia was very kind and heartwarming. She would light up your day in a flash. Brog, even though kind-hearted, he had a tendency to be a bit mean at times. A bit of a bully, even though he wasn't as much all the time. But Brog had a kind of mischievous side to him. He liked pulling pranks, but not on Tesselia. She would know any of them in a flash. And so, in 1919, when Rickabor came to Foggy Hollow, he looked around. "My word," he said, "this is quite a nice town. Rather a bit lonely, but hey, at least there's lots of work to do." "Oh, yes, there is," said Tesselia, puffing over to meet him. "There's a lot of work here to do, and lots of friends for you to meet." Rickabor was awed by Tesselia's beauty. He found her quite attractive. Oh, hello," he said. "I'm Rickabor. I'm from the mainland." "The name's Tesselia," she said, kindly. "Ugh, who's this?" said Brog, puffing alongside Tesselia. "Oh, hello, I heard your name," Brog said. "Brog's the name, shunting's my game. I also do other jobs too. I deliver flour to the sawmill, I will deliver wood, flour, anything you can do, I take it. Tesselia's usually taking the passenger trains." "And some of the freight trains too," said Tesselia. Brog rolled his eyes. Well, it's nice to meet you, Tesselia and Brog. My name's Rickabor, and I'm here to find work. Apparently I was supposed to send to the Northwestern Railway, but instead I was sent here. Apparently there's a huge backlog of traffic." "Oh, yes, there is," she said. There's lots of work to do, but there's only two of us. Oh well, make it three, Rickabor said, and blew his whistle and went happily to work. He won't last one day, Brog said. Oh, shut up and let him do his job, Tesselia said. Brog just rolled his eyes and puffed away to the flour mill. It wasn't long until Rickabor found himself quite at home at Foggy Hollow. He did all the work that was necessary, and he did it without complaining. Due to his age, he was known to be rather a bit forgetful at times, but other than that, he was very useful. He knew where to put the coaches and trucks, and he even helped down some of the passenger trains with Tesselia. Brog did not like this. He felt that Rickabor was taking attention away from him. Brog was jealous, and Tesselia knew this. Oh, stop being so jealous. He's just trying to help out, she said to him one night. That engine is going to end up in trouble, he said. What do you mean? You know what I mean, if you've been around here for as long as we have been. Tesselia just rolled her eyes, but deep down, she knew what Brog was talking about. Rickabor helped out on the passenger runs and the shunting duties. He even became friends with the mayor of Foggy Hollow, which was quite an honor for any engine of that matter, as Tesselia puts it. Then again, Rickabor did find the forest rather creepy. He did not like traveling in it, especially at night, and that is why he always opted to keep on the main highway, the long stretch of track. As long as he found his way, he was okay. Brog was the more braver of the two and would often go out on the much heavier jobs on the other parts of the forest. In the end, Tesselia grew closer to Rickabor than Brog did, but Brog had his own little things to do, so there wasn't much thing he could do to be friends with Rickabor. A week into his job, Rickabor was finding his life rather useful here. I love it here. It's so nice and peaceful, and the town is very nice. It's very cool, relaxing, and lots of jobs you can do, lots of people to talk to. Brog had had enough of this, and one night, at the end of the week, he had a little joke in store for Rickabor. That night at the sheds, Tesselia, Brog, and Rickabor were resting peacefully at the sheds. The next night, Rickabor was to go over to Knapford for his next job, but he promised he would come back. Tesselia was telling him all about Knapford, and all about the Northwestern Railway and how it was constructed, with Thomas and Edward. Brog didn't take much use in the conversation, and often just mumbled or grumbled. Are you all right? Rickabor said. Yeah, what's good about it? I'm fine. What's wrong? Oh, nothing. You seem rather bored. Bored? I've been bored ever since you came to this frickin' railway. What did you say? Nothing. Well, you'll be here until tomorrow night, so, just want to let you know, just keep on the main highway until you reach the bridge. Then you can go on to Knapford. It's simple as that on the main line. Okay, then I'll take your word into account, said Rickabor. Or my story into account, Rickabor said. Excuse me? Rickabor said. Brog. There was a small smirk from Brog. Tesselia knew what was coming. Oh, please, he doesn't need this, she said. Brog didn't listen. My friend, you better be careful out there, or else you're going to be caught by the Horror Steamston. The Horror Steamston? What the bloody hell's the Horror Steamston? Rickabor asked. Tesselia sighed. It's a legend that goes around these parts, especially in the forest. I don't believe it. Oh, you should, Brog said. Rickabor was intrigued. What is the Horror Steamston? Said Brog, and began. The Horror Steamston is a legendary phantom that curses this entire area of Sodor, the town of Foggy Hollow, and the forest surrounding it. No one knows what the engine was, but all we know is that it was an old engine, an old Victorian-style engine that came here back in the 1870s and worked up until maybe at least the Civil War of the 1890s. But no one really knows how it died. But we know what happened to it after it died. What do you mean? Rickabor said. The horror steamston comes out at night in the fog with thunder and fire in the sky. It has jet black paint and has a shrill whistle that echoes in the night. Its steam often sounds like a hissing roar of a demon. Legend says that the horror steamston is a phantom that goes after any engine who ventures out at night, all alone. But I haven't seen that thing all week, Rickabor said. Maybe it's waiting, Brog said. The horror steamston is known for having fire coming out of its funnel and out of its cylinder cocks. In the cab, you can see two figures wearing black trench coats, shoveling coal and driving their monstrous engine. The engine is heard screaming into the night, laughing out loudly with horrid, sharp teeth, its eyes flaming orange and red, with flames really come out of them, like a jack-o'-lantern face. It screams into the night, roars into the cuttings, and if you see it, you might never hear another word of a soul again. Rickabor was haunted by the story. I'll take your story into account, Rickabor said. Please don't listen to him. Oh, you should, my friend. Once you get to the covered bridge, my friend, the horror steamston's power is over. His power ends. It can't be seen once you get to the bridge. You will be all right once you get to the bridge. Thank you, Brog. But I have a good night's sleep ahead of me because I have a lot of work to do tomorrow. I wish you all a good night, he said. With that, Rickabor went to sleep at once, or at least tried to. Tesselia glared at Brog. There you go again, ruining the newcomers. Oh, you know the last time we had a newcomer here. Oh, please, that engine was sent away to the mainland. I remember that in the newspapers. So you think, Brog said. And with that, both Brog and Tesselia went to sleep. But when they did, Rickabor opened one eye to make sure that nothing, the horror steamston or not, was looking at him.